We're going to kick things off with artist, curator, and arts entrepreneur, the man responsible for Museum of Museums, Mr. Greg Lundgren. Hi.
Hi, Nancy.
It's great to have you here.
Thanks for coming.
And we're digging this place. Man, it is fantastic.
It's getting closer.
It's getting closer. Now, before diving into Museum of Museums, AKA MoM, I want to give some context for you, for our audience to kind of know what you're about, because you do a lot of things. So, in 1995, you founded Vital 5 Productions.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay, and that's kind of an umbrella organization for your myriad of projects.
Yes.
Which include Vito's, which is?
Vito's is a 1953 Italian restaurant and jazz club on First Hill.
Yep.
And we renovated it 10 years ago. And
you brought it back to life. That's a wonderful place. So the HIDEOUT, which is a kind of a groovy hole-in-the-wall bar?
Yeah, it turns 15 on March 18th.
Wow.
So we're excited that it's been around so long.
Yeah, that's a long time
but
in
I
Seattle.
think we'll be there for another decade at least.
Excellent. Lundgren monuments, glass headstones, urns.
I do that too.
Yeah, interesting. And you've written a couple of children's books about death as well.
2 children's books about death, yes.
You cover a lot of ground. And finally, during the first 3 Seattle Art Fairs, you curated Out of Sight, which was kind of a parallel exhibit of work by local artists.
Yeah, my concern was that regional artists were not getting the exposure that they should and deserve, and so I kind of took it upon myself to create a venue for that.
Greg Lundgren to the rescue. All right, so clearly you're no stranger to taking on very big challenges, which brings us to Museum of Museums, perhaps your biggest project yet. So, seems maybe. So what was the impetus for MoM?
I have been banging the drum and trying to start an art center in Seattle for a very long time. And for a large portion of that time, I was looking towards our multi-billionaires. I was looking towards people with big money to subsidize what I think Seattle deserves and needs to improve and grow our arts ecosystem. And after a while, and after all the letters that you write and projects that you start, you either give up or you design the art center that you can afford to do instead of waiting for the art center that you can't afford to do.
Yeah.
So MoM reflects the art center that I can barely afford to do.
Just right there.
Just
right there.
To the dollar.
The name Museum of Museums, why that name?
I think that there's a couple of different true answers to it. I wish there were just one because it'd be easier.
Yeah.
But I think that there is a very literal term behind it, and that Museum of Museums does give shelter to other smaller museums. So we are harboring the SHAUN Cardinal Art Museum, we are harboring the Supperfield Museum of Contemporary Art, and MoMOM, or Museum of Museums, and a few other moments throughout the space.
So the building, like you said, it's owned still by Swedish Hospital. What was it before you got it?
For the last decade, it's been kind of a squatter's hotel. The windows were boarded up. There was 5 tons of trash that was left behind by people who were living in the building.
Right.
So it was in very rough shape.
Yeah.
I think it has a great kind of architectural history, but the 21st century was not kind to it.
During the demo, was there any point during the process, or how many times did you want to run away, screaming?
I enjoy renovation. I looked at this building almost like a stray dog that you found, you know, and it was covered in fleas and hadn't had a bath. And so like that process of renovation is like taking something that really deserves to be cared for and kind of grooming it.
Yeah.
And so that part felt good. I think that's
That was-
like the relationship that you have with a building is like fixing all the things that are derelict and miskept.
Bringing it back.
And bringing it back.
So there's obviously still work to do, but you're getting close, and soon every corner of MoM is going to be art activated. So let's get to that. Just walk us through the space.
Yeah, I think first off that MoM is an admission-based model, so we don't sell artwork here. We sell the experience of curating mostly non-commercial work. So there's a lot of different moments, and there's a lot of different spaces. The neat thing about this building is that it's like a labyrinth of rooms and hallways, and there's something around every corner.
Yes.
the top floor is called the True Space, which is designated for immersive installation and large-scale sculpture. It's 2,000 square feet, and it's dedicated to doing really ambitious, involved installations. Below that is the Malone Gallery, which is the same square footage, but designed for more traditional exhibition. Also 3 main exhibitions a year. Across from that is what we call the lobby, which contains 4 main moments. The emergence room, which is designated for showcasing art from kids age 6 to 16. I think it's very important to have a conversation about arts education, and you don't create great adult artists unless you're giving kids an opportunity and inspiration.
Absolutely.
We also have the SHAUN KARDINAL Art Museum there. We have the Margaret Supperfield Museum there. We have MoM there.
Which is a bathroom.
Which is a bathroom.
And installations.
Yes,
art
it
space.
seems like a joke, but MoM is the Museum of Museums.
Oh, yes.
Or the Museum of MoM, and it showcases artwork that is made in, around, or about the museum.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
But it's also the bathroom.
Also the bathroom. Yeah. Double meaning there.
Why just leave it a normal bathroom?
Why would you do that? Now, what about the mail?
Oh, and then, yes. I Mail Mom is a mail program that we're doing with Robert Zavrina and Amy Ellen Tressberger. They are enamored by the postal box that's right in front of our building. And so they are setting up a mail program. There's pencils and postcards that are stamped, and there's some prompt that might be write a postcard to Edith, who's having surgery at Swedish Hospital.
Not necessarily someone they know.
No, it's mostly to strangers, and
Gotcha.
it's like people that are incarcerated, people that that kind of could use a friend or use some engagement.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about that program.
That's wonderful. Now let's go to next area down. Perhaps.
So next area. So then there's a few things. I mean, there's outdoor sculpture.
Yep.
There's Dylan Neuwirth that has a neon sculpture on our Broadway entrance. And GRACELEE Lawrence, who we're about to install a large-scale 3D printed sculpture of hers. That's at our Boylston entrance. There's Nikita Aries, who painted our front door. There's Rick Arluke, who created an installation in the entry on Boylston as well.
That little box kind of set in.
A little recessed diorama. And then as we work our way down, we go to the first floor, which is where we are now.
Yep.
And on the south side is our
Which
gift
is where
shop,
we are.
which is where we are now.
Yep.
The gift shop has some of the traditional normal things like our MoM swag, so you can buy a coffee mug or a t-shirt or a tote bag. But it's grounded in this collection of 63 objects. And these 63 objects are presented on these tables that are almost like what you'd be in like a swap meet.
Yeah.
And the common denominator between all 63 objects is that they are all designed to bring joy to somebody who is staying in the hospital.
I love that. So that's the gift shop. And then behind us?
Behind us is the talk show, and it's probably a longer story than what we have time for, but the idea is that I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to get enough volunteers to manage the gift shop because to start with, it's going to be a volunteer-based operation. So I thought that if we could do something that people might raise their hand to participate in, that we'd have a better chance of having it staffed.
Right.
So we created what's called the Gift Shop Talk Show. And if you are a gift shop attendant, you're also a talk show host. And we worked with our new recent friend, Hunter Irvine, who is doing our first video installation here, to rig up a computer that with the press of a button, we could stream live on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. This whole project is build the stage and just kind of see who falls in the line.
See what happens.
And see what
so
happens.
now let's go over here is the theater.
So yes, to the north of the gift shop is the Charles Modede Theater, which is this kind of brings me a lot of joy. It's a 4-seat theater. It's largely designed for video projections, but I do love the idea of doing live theater for a 4-person audience.
That's great.
And then beyond that is what's called the kitchen. The kitchen has its own entrance to Broadway and is really designed to have different programming every day of the week. And then on the weekends we do art pop-ups, and that ranges from vintage clothing to fine art to kind of all different kinds of things.
How about the cabin?
Yeah, we created a little a little scene of a cabin, kind of like your uncle's cabin in the North Cascades.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just this cozy little place that seats 8. And behind it, we program this video that looks like the window
Nature.
of the cabin.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be nature, but it could be outer space, it could be underwater,
Sure.
it could
Just
be...
kind of set some stage.
I think that we'll
Set some
get all
tone.
sorts of strange
Yeah.
submissions for that.
And then there are the 2 bathrooms.
So there's 2 large bathrooms on the first floor, and it would have been impossible to ignore them or to leave them alone as just natural, normal bathrooms.
Of course.
So they are rotating art installations, and then between them is a mural that also changes every 6 months.
Okay, so those 3 things right there change every 6 months. Well, you know, what drives you to put so much time, energy, and resources into incredibly cool projects, but daunting projects?
I'm just a huge supporter and a huge advocate of what Seattle could become. I feel like we have all of these ingredients here. We have the community, we have the artists, we have enormous wealth, we have the technology. Like, there's so many things that other cities don't have, but it's frustrating because we haven't combined them in the way that activates it the way that we could be. So I think that MoM is this experiment and this attempt to harness all of those things. I'm not saying that it's a sure thing or guarantee.
Nothing is.
Nothing is, but if I were to propose what part of the remedy would be, I think it would look a lot like MoM.
Well, I love it, and I'm just going to say it, I love you.
Well, I love
For everything you
too.
do. I absolutely love it. So Museum of Museums MoM is slated to open June 4th. Keep current with all things MoM on their website and on Instagram. Thank you so much, and stay with us because I know we have more to do with you later in the show. But up next is a story on Neon Saltwater, a visionary artist whose work will be featured in one of MoM's debut exhibit, which is called Energy Drink. Thank you, sir. Let's
Thank
toast. Shall we?
Toast.
Voila. To MoM.
To MoM.
To Greg. Drinking our fake.
There's nothing in this glass.